Part 6. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 52. When Yejing walked back, there were no more fire demons on the street. They were probably cleaned up. Perhaps Tianhuo City thought that the closure of the sky curtain was a conspiracy of Gukan, but they were unwilling to let go of such a good opportunity. So they just threw out a group of low-level fire demons to test the depth first. If there is no problem, then it will not be garbage fire demons that descend, but a large army of fire demons. The sky curtain of Gukan was closed for more than half an hour before it was reopened. Tianhuo City was silent for the time being. This time it was just a pre-war harassment. On the street, people were clearing the rubble and debris on the road. The collapsed houses were repaired by Earth-based practitioners. It is estimated that they don't even have to pay for repairing the houses this time. Where the fire was fierce, water-based practitioners went to put out the fire. After a light rain, all the big fires were extinguished. The law enforcement team was patrolling, looking for enemies who were taking the opportunity to make trouble. When Yejing returned home, the wall between his room and Huayu's room had collapsed, and the two houses were connected together. This gave Yejing a headache. He wanted to find someone to build a wall, but it was too troublesome. After Yejing entered his room, he saw Huayu. Huayu was facing away from him, bending over, and fiddling with the door of her own room. Yejing asked, "What are you doing?" Huayu also heard Yejing's footsteps, and without even turning her head, she said, "Press the lock." Yejing, "You are such a clever little ghost. This is really a good idea." His room and Huayu's room were already in tatters, the floor and walls were burned to a charred color, and they could no longer be used, so they had to move to another room. And Huayu locked her previous room, and this connected family became two families again. No need to repair the house, build walls, or even tidy up the shabby room. Yejing looked at Huayu. Huayu's room was empty. She had moved all the things that were intact before. Obviously, she didn't plan to come to this room. However, Yejing's face was dark. As for locking it, "What can I do to you?" This is a great distrust of him. Huayu sneered, still without turning around, gave Yejing a head back, and said sarcastically, "You should clean up your room first." Inexplicable. Yejing muttered with dissatisfaction. He glanced around his room and tried to find something that could still be used to take away. Then, Yejing saw a half-burned cardboard box next to the bed. His face froze instantly, and a trace of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Next to the bed, there was a large cardboard box, which was only half-burned, revealing the books inside. Yejing found a large box of pornographic books and photo albums from his father's room. It was not completely burned. Yejing now understood why Huayu pressed the lock and why she spoke to him in that tone. "It's over." Yejing looked desperate. "My image has collapsed. It's better not to burn this broken box completely. Do you believe me if I say I found it in my father's room?" Yejing said he wanted to struggle. Huayu turned around and bared her little white teeth at him, smiling, "Why don't you say it was brought down by the fire demon?" Her waist straightened up, clapped her hands, looked at the new lock she had replaced with her own hands, and nodded with satisfaction, "Very good, it's safe now." Yejing was speechless. "What standard of safety do you mean? Can you stop me with just this little lock?" He just smashed 4 iron locks in a row, no, 5, and an electronic lock. "You want to stop me with just this little lock? Do you believe that I can hide in your bathroom in a minute?" Huayu smiled, "Then I can call the police. The charges are trespassing and robbery." "Breaking is just robbery? You look down on me too much, don't you?" Yejing muttered in his heart. Then he saw Huayu taking small steps, stepping over the gravel, walking to his house, then picking up the half-burned cardboard box, turning around and leaving, a set of movements flowing like water, as if she didn't see Yejing. Yejing was surprised. "What are you doing?" "That's my stuff." "You are trespassing and robbing, right?" Hua Yu's pretty face was full of contempt. "Burn it." After saying that, she left and returned to her home, slamming the door, and a crisp locking sound came from the other side of the door, and there was a sentence. "So adolescent boys are disgusting." Haha. Yejing's mouth twitched slightly, not angry, not refuting, and not arguing with her. "When I have time, I will let you know what an adolescent boy is." He rummaged around in the room, picked up some daily necessities, and left. He didn't plan to live in this room. Yejing walked into his father's room, threw away all the sheets, quilt covers, pillowcases, etc. that his father had used before, and replaced them with new ones. Then he went to bed. What a disastrous day. Yejing sighed and closed his eyes. He was tired after a day and soon fell asleep. This sleep lasted for more than 10 hours. When Yejing opened his eyes again, he felt refreshed. When he moved his body, a crackling sound came from his body, and his bones were crisp. "It's so refreshing." Yejing looked at the time. It was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He touched his stomach and woke up because of hunger. However, he did not get up. He stayed in bed. Yejing lay in bed, thinking about what would happen 2 days later. There was only one chance, so he could not fail, and he could not find any problem that could cause failure. After all, he had already blown up the energy core, so what could go wrong? Either it succeeds, and you are all blown to death. Or it fails, and I am killed. No problem. However, Yejing was not very confident in his attack power, and he did not think that he could blow up the energy core with a casual attack. The small energy core in his hand now has a tolerance value of 1000, which he cannot reach under normal circumstances. If you use double attack to gamble, it is too risky. No enemy will be stupid enough to watch you hammer the energy core. Strong attacking things. Yejing thought about it, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Gun. When he saw the black-robed man named Anza take out a gun before, he wanted to get one to use. It has a fast firing rate, high attack power, and is handsome. It just meets his requirements. After all, it is so handsome. I just don't know what the bullets in this world are made of. If it's just ordinary bullets, then there's no need. Ordinary bullets can't even penetrate his spiritual energy, let alone the energy core. Let's try to get one first. Yejing thought. He still had the mithril and black gold that he had taken from the training machine, and he could also use synthesis to fuse them. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 53. Yejing Guang was just thinking about getting a pistol, but he forgot a very important point. He had no spirit stones. None at all. Last night, in order to draw skills, he exchanged all his spirit stones for the energy of the furnace. Now there is still some left, but I don't know if the furnace can output it in the opposite direction. Of course it is impossible. Such black-hearted things have always been allowed to enter but not to leave. The spirit stones eaten belong to the furnace, and you still wanted to spit them out. Is this possible? It's like the spirit stones that have entered Yejing's pocket. It's impossible for him to take them back. Yejing's face gradually stiffened. He has no money. This is a very serious problem. It seems that he can't spend as many spirit stones as he has in the future. At least he has to leave some for emergency use. This is an extremely bad habit and must be changed. Let's see how much a gun costs first. If that doesn't work, we can only sell some rare metals. He had 500 grams of mithril and 15 grams of black gold that he had taken from the training machine. Although it was painful to sell them, he had to sell them when he had no choice. He didn't want to fail to blow up the energy core when he took it to self-destruct in 2 days. That would be a big joke. Yejing leaned on the bedside table, took out his mobile phone, and opened an online shopping platform called Fifanbao. This is one of the top 3 sales websites in the entire Blue Star. It supports sales in merchants' stores and personal stores. It has stations in various cities, comes with its own delivery, delivers within 1 hour in the city, and compensates for overdue delivery. It is very conscientious. Yejing entered the homepage of Fifanbao and saw the slogan of their website at a glance. Fifanbao is very fast. Fifan items are very good. What a silly slogan. Yejing complained, located his address in Google, typed and searched for pistols, and the next second, tens of thousands of keyword columns appeared in front of Yejing, which dazzled him and made him very excited. Croatia Pistol Cup, give you a Rhapsody-like refreshing feeling. Clearance sale now, the original price is 888 lingxi, the current price is only 666 lingxi, buy 3 get 1 free, buy 5 get 2 free, the opportunity will not come again. Lightning brand pistol cup, free your hands. 30% off, return within 3 days. Please wash the returned goods. Girlfriend brand pistol cup, your third girlfriend. This is not what I want. Yejing's face was dark. I searched for pistols, why did such a mess appear, where is the pistol? Real gun. He pulled down wildly, the sales list in front was all pistol brand cups, and there was no pistol at all, which made him wonder how men in this world live. Yejing spent nearly an hour carefully observing one store after another, scrolling down several pages before he saw the real gun sales store. Finally found it? Yejing sighed. In an hour, he almost lost his mind and almost forgot what he wanted in the first place. Several times, he forced his fingers not to click to order. It's really exciting. Yejing clicked on the gun shop, the name is Changtian Gun Sales. It seems that Changtian Group has completely penetrated the business of Lonely City. Now in Lonely City, potions, weapons, armor, rare metals, skills, etc., you can see Changtian Group's shops. Maybe in a few years, only Changtian Group will sell things in the whole Lonely City. On the homepage of Changtian Gun Sales, dozens of crown icons flashing with golden light were printed, indicating that the sales volume was off the charts. This made Yejing a little confused. Why is such a fierce crown icon still ranked behind hundreds of pistol cup shops? I don't understand, I don't dare to think, I don't dare to ask. Yejing took a quick look at the best-selling firearms, and the number one was a sniper rifle. Thunder Eagle 13, single-shot sniper rifle, weighing 13.3 kilograms, the gun body is made of high-density mithril, the barrel is made of cold crystal, and the precision hardware inside the gun is made of black gold, so that it comes with the thunder braking array, which greatly increases the firing rate, range, and power. The maximum capacity is 10, and purchase will give 30 thunder bombs with the strength of the underground palace spirit, 5,000 spirit stones for each thunder bomb. In the picture, a super cool sniper rifle with a dark blue outer surface and lightning flowing on the gun body is slowly showing itself. Yejing just took a look and stopped paying attention to it. It's not that he doesn't like it anymore, but he was scared by the price behind it. 6 zeros after 7, big brother, can't afford it. Yejing searched for the word pistol in the store, and this time he really found what he wanted. Painted White Knight, a noble pistol, the price is 5.8, pass. Desert Eagle, a violent pistol, priced at 68,000, passed. White Flame Wolf, a bloodthirsty pistol, priced at 44,000, passed. Why are they all so expensive? Yejing was speechless. Yes, they all looked good. If I had money, I would definitely buy them, but the key is that I don't have money. Yejing scrolled down directly, scrolled down to the bottom, and found the cheapest one. Mogo, synthetic steel pistol, 15 bursts, the bullets are spiritual bullets, purchase and give away 10 spiritual bullets of the 5th level of the human transformation realm, 20 blank bullets, please inject spiritual energy into the blank bullets yourself, the maximum tolerance is the 9th level of the human transformation realm, the price is 4,000 spiritual stones. Let's take this, the cheapest one. Yejing sighed secretly, poor. He was not satisfied, but he could only choose this one. Even this cheapest emogo cost 4,000 spiritual stones. Now, the question is, where can I get 4,000 spiritual stones? He felt that he had made a mistake in the order. He should not have chosen the pistol first, but should have gone to get the money first. Now that the target was taken care of, the only thing missing was the money. Yejing thought about it, silently dialed Huayu's number, and then the call went through. Huayu, if you have something to say, talk to me. If you don't, hang up. He heard Huayu's voice was a little hurried, and he didn't know what she was busy with. Yejing didn't feel embarrassed, and said directly, borrow money. Bang. The phone was hung up. Yejing looked at the dimming mobile phone screen expressionlessly, and instantly felt that there was no love in the world. Aren't we friends? Is this how you treat your friends? He dialed again, but the call was not connected. Once again. He dialed several times in a row before Huayu answered. Before Yejing could speak, Huayu spoke first. I don't have money or life, what do you want? Yejing exhaled deeply, no money. Didn't you steal my fire demon crystal core? How can I have no money? Huayu said lightly, correction, that's my fire demon crystal core. Yejing held his forehead, okay, yours is yours, lend me some now, I need it urgently. Huayu also heard Yejing's urgency and explained to him briefly, I really have no more, I bought a set of exercises on Fifanbao an hour ago, and spent all of it. Now the goods have arrived, and I'm learning. Yejing, Fifanbao, it's fast. Pa. Yejing hung up the phone directly. Since he had no money, what else could he say, just go away. Thank you very much for the 2,000 coins reward from Buli Buki Yulong, the 500 coins reward from Chen Pk Chu, and the 100 coins reward from Mensing's Burning Heart. Thank you for your support, book friends. It's really hard to write a transition chapter without a plot. I can't compete with the big guys during the day, it's night now, please give me some recommendations. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 54. Substitute. I, Yejing, have nothing but many friends. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 2. Yejing called Wang Hao again. When the call was connected, there was a cacophony of sounds from the other side, including Wang Hao's curses and other men's calls, which was so harsh. Wang Hao spoke very quickly, I have something to say. I'm playing in a group. Yejing said 2 words cleanly and neatly. Borrow money. Snap. Once again, the call was hung up, and Yejing smiled calmly. He would never be hung up on by the same person twice in a row again. Thinking about it, he took out all the herbs inside the storage bracelet, took a photo and sent it to Wang Hao. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The phone rang. Wang Hao's angry voice came from the other end of the phone, sorry. I knew it was you who hacked the contents of my bracelet. Give it back to me quickly. Yejing sneered, aren't you playing in a group? Wang Hao said in a violent tone, I hung up, let my teammates die, please send the herbs to my house quickly. Otherwise, I will sue you for theft. Yejing wondered, theft? How could an upright person like me steal? Is there any evidence to prove that these herbs are yours? Invoice, receipt, fingerprint, or DNA? Wang Hao. You are so shameless. I use my own medicinal herbs and still issue invoices? Pay taxes twice? Am I stupid? These are my usage quota for a month. If I can't refine medicine for a month, I will die. Hurry up. Ye Jing interrupted directly, don't talk nonsense, either transfer 4,000, or I'll make porridge, no nonsense. There was rapid breathing on the other end of the phone, and Ye Jing could feel Wang Hao's anger across the space, which had reached the top. After Wang Hao was silent for a long time, he gritted his teeth and said, "You are so cruel. Transfer money. The treasure you gave me was mailed to my store. I made a note of it this time. It will take a long time." Ye Jing dismissed it. The future is long? One day I can press you to death with one finger. Ye Jing sent his Lingxi card number to Wang Hao. He had never used this card since he applied for it. He couldn't save money at all. He didn't even have enough, so he complained about it. After a while, he received Wang Hao's transfer information and received 3,999 spiritual stones. Ye Jing didn't care. It's normal for children to be petty and don't care. Thinking about it, he grabbed a handful of herbs from the pile and used them to make porridge tomorrow morning. When the money arrived, he placed an order on Fifanbao and bought the Mo dog pistol. The spiritual stone he had just received was gone again. Ye Jing sat in the living room and checked the time on her mobile phone. The delivery time exceeded 1 hour and she would be compensated. I'll wait. 40 minutes later. The doorbell rang, and Ye Jing opened the door with a disappointed look on his face. Outside the door, stood a delivery person wearing a yellow coat with the words Fei Fei Bao printed on the chest. Delivery staff, hello, is this Mr. Ye Jing? Ye Jing nodded, it's me. After confirmation, the delivery staff took out a black box, just like a shoe box, and handed it to Ye Jing. This is the item you ordered from Changtian Gun Store, please sign for it. After Ye Jing signed, he watched the delivery staff go downstairs. He was curious about how the delivery staff delivered the goods quickly, so he followed him down and took a look. I saw the delivery person sitting on a runaway motorcycle. Light blue phlegm was sprayed from the back of the motorcycle. It started, and with a whoosh, it disappeared. Ye Jing had an expression of admiration on his face. Riding so fast in the city was awesome. He returned to the room and opened the box. There was a black exquisite pistol inside. He weighed it and it weighed about 2 kilograms. There are 20 blank bullets in the box, which he needs to inject spiritual energy into. He is now at the second level of spiritual energy, so the intensity of the spiritual energy he injects is also at the second level. He unloaded the magazine, which contained 10 rounds of bright white spiritual energy bullets. The magazine with 15 bullet slots was not full, which was really stingy. The spiritual energy emitted by these 10 spiritual energy bullets is at the 5th level of the mortal realm. With the blessing of the pistol, its attack power will definitely reach 1,000 values, and it will explode the energy core. But just in case, he still wanted to take a shot and test its power. Where to shoot? Ye Jing looked around. There were intact walls and a neat and clean room. He definitely couldn't experiment here. He took the ink dog pistol and walked to his previous room, which he thought was the best place. Ye Jing looked up at the ceiling. It was still leaking. He could see the sky when he looked up. He was too lazy to repair it. Even if it rained, it wouldn't flood the house. Shoot the ground? Or shoot the wall? Ye Jing was a little hesitant. After all, this was a spiritual energy bullet loaded with the 5th level of the mortal realm. He was afraid of being shot through the floor. If it was shot into someone else's house, he was afraid of falling on the other side if it was shot on the wall. At this time, Ye Jing suddenly thought of something, his eyes lit up, and he turned his attention to the locked door next to the rubble pile. It should be fine, right? Yejing felt a little upset in his heart. After the wall of the two houses collapsed, he found the door very unpleasant, especially after Huayu locked it. It's my first time to shoot a gun. If it's a little biased, Huayu doesn't mind, right? Yejing made up his mind and pointed the gun at the door. Your mother and my father ran away. The two families have become a family. Why do you need this door? Today, let me come in him. Yejing bent his fingers, and then a gunshot sounded, and a white light pumped out from the muzzle. Swish. The speed was too fast, Yejing couldn't even see the shadow of the bullet, and then he fell down by himself. The powerful impact force generated by the spiritual energy bullet that was higher than his third level directly shook Yejing's arm unconscious. He only felt an invisible impact that hit his chest hard, and then his body flew backwards and hit the wall a few meters away. Puff. Yejing fell to the ground, and really spurted out a mouthful of old blood. His back was hurt by the wall, and his chest was hurt by the shock wave. It's cruel. Yejing endured the pain and climbed up from the ground. He didn't care about his injuries at all, and looked at the ink dog in his hand with excitement. If this gun can't explode the energy core, I'll eat this gun. Yejing turned his head and looked at the direction of the door. The door that he didn't like had fallen down. There was a big hole in the center of the door, and the cracks covered the entire door. It was obvious that it was no longer usable. Then, he looked up and saw the living room of Huayu's house and Huayu with a dark face. Huayu was wearing lavender pajamas, with bare white feet, sitting on the sofa in the living room flipping through the newly bought skills. Just when she was about to try to practice, a gunshot shocked her. She turned her head to look in the direction of the gunshot and saw the door that fell down in response, and Yejing holding a gun a few meters away. In an instant, the joy brought by her buying the AI skills was all washed away. The original happy smile faded, and it was replaced by a dark cloud of gloom. Thanks to the book friend 201906152114523236 for the 500 coin reward. Thank you all book friends for your support. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 55. 2 nights later, Yejing sat on the bed, slightly closed his eyes, and calmed his mind. His breath was filled with a faint aura. A layer of white light enveloped his body, which was constantly absorbed into his body to strengthen his body. This seemed to be Yejing's first formal practice. He absorbed the aura into his body, flushed the debris in his body, and transformed his mortal body into a spiritual body. His current realm is the second stage of the human transformation realm. The aura intensity that his body can withstand is very low, and the aura that it can accommodate is also very small. In the end, no matter how many skills he has, if his realm cannot be raised, he still has no combat power. After all, in this world, the role of aura energy is still very large. Just like 2 days ago, he was almost beaten to the ground by Huayu because of the huge difference in realm, and his physical strength was not as good as hers, so he could not fight against her. Yejing is now in the calm, steady and relaxed cultivation mode. The spiritual energy flows through his body again and again, from muscles to bones, from bones to internal tendons, from internal tendons to blood, flowing slowly. Finally the third level. After an unknown amount of time, Yejing opened his eyes, and his piercing black pupils exuded a spiritual aura. He exhaled, and a stream of white air came out of his mouth and shot out half a foot away. What time is it now? Yejing looked up at the watch. It was already 23 o'clock, and it was almost dawn. He never thought that he could sit for several hours. When he was in the state of cultivation, time passed in a flash. Yejing stood up, stretched his waist, loosened his muscles and bones, and then walked out of the house. It's time. For future stability, It's time to eliminate the threat. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and his face was determined. This time, he would eliminate the unstable elements no matter what. As soon as Yejing went downstairs, he felt a gaze focused on him. Following the feeling, he saw a black car parked at the corner. When he walked to the black car, before he could open the door opened from the inside. The man in the black robe sitting in the driver's seat said coldly, "We are here to pick you up." Yejing did not speak, but got into the black car silently, sneering in his heart. It could be said that they were here to pick him up, but it could be said that they were here to monitor him. Yejing had been able to see this black car swaying around these days, swaying without concealment, also to prevent him from escaping. In the black car, in addition to the driver, there was also the man named Anzi who he had seen before and led the way for him. In this black car, the man named Anzi posed the greatest threat to him. Whenever he sat next to Anzi, he felt a creepy feeling, and every cell in his body was trembling, as if he was alert to Anzi. This time, Yejing still sat next to Anzi, and he could clearly feel the strong murderous aura from Anzi, and the sense of killing was extremely strong. This is a killer who came from the sea of blood and the mountain of bones. Not long after, the black car stopped in front of the remote closed shop. Anzi got off the car first and walked into the shop, followed by Yejing. It was still a dim corridor and the innermost room, nothing changed. Anzi was very disciplined. He knocked on the door first, and then stood in front of the door, like a statue, motionless. "Let him in." A hoarse male voice came from inside the door. After hearing it, Anzi moved his body away, glanced at Yejing, and said nothing. Yejing exhaled deeply. At this time, he was a little nervous. He stretched out a hand, tremblingly pushed open the door, and walked in. In the dark room, there was a table, and 8 people were around the table, all wearing black robes, and their faces were not revealed. When Yejing walked in, the 8 black-robed people looked at Yejing together. Even without revealing their eyes and faces, Yejing could sense the hostility from their bodies. At the main seat of the table, the principal of Gukhan High School looked at Yejing indifferently and said stiffly, "Sit down." Although the principal's tone was still very tough, his attitude had obviously changed. The murderous intent that frightened Yejing before had disappeared. There was an empty chair at the bottom of the table, which was specially reserved for Yejing. At this time, Yejing was no longer timid and sat on the chair carelessly. Was he afraid? Afraid. But there was no way. He didn't want to be someone else's puppet, so he could only kill all those who wanted him to be a puppet. You already know the permission password of Tianmuo, right? When Yejing took his place, the principal went straight to the point. When he saw Yejing, he knew that Yejing had made the right choice. Got it? Yejing nodded, but did not say it first. Instead, he stretched out his finger, pointed around, and said lightly, "Since we are all going to cooperate, these people still cover their faces. Isn't it too insincere? If you point your finger at me again, your hand will be broken." A black-robed man in front of Yejing's left said coldly. His seat was second only to the principal, and it seemed that his status was second only to the principal. "Is this your sincerity?" Yejing laughed, then shut up and said nothing. Why waste so much time talking to him? Take him to the back, I can pry his mouth open in an hour. Another black-robed man was very irritable, and a faint energy fluctuation had already been transmitted from his body, as if he was going to take action in the next second, causing Yejing to almost take out the energy core. Enough. The principal opened his mouth and scolded, and in an instant, everyone else fell silent and became obedient. Then, the principal looked at Yejing, staring at Yejing with a pair of unruly eagle eyes, and said coldly, "If you want to know something, just ask directly, don't waste time." He also guessed that Yejing would not speak so easily. If he wanted to find out something, he could, he could know anything. The principal had already sentenced Yejing to death in his heart. As long as he confirmed that the permission password of Tianmu was correct, he would kill him immediately and leave no one alive. When Yejing handed over the permission password of Tianmu, he would have no use value. A person who has no use value, knows his true identity, and is weak, cannot live in this world. Yejing shrugged his shoulders. He also knew that the principal would definitely kill him. If he put himself in his shoes, he would make the same choice. However, it's the same for each other. Who is not the same? Yejing said, I want to know what the cooperation between your Changtian group and Tianhuo City is. Your Changtian group wants the continental fragment of Gukan, but what about Tianhuo City? What is their purpose? This is what he has always been puzzled about. Mutual benefit is called cooperation. Changtian group wants Gukan, but what does Tianhuo City want? It's almost the second day, please vote for recommendation. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 56. You are too low level to know what is normal. The principal said in a flat tone, between Gukan and Tianhuokan, a small planet fragment for land reclamation was found. That is what Tianhuokan wants. The distribution of benefits after the cooperation is that Changtian group takes the fragment of the Blue Star continent with Gukan, and Tianhuokan takes the small planet fragment for land reclamation. What? Uncultivated planet fragments. Yejing was shocked, really shocked. This is something he never thought of, my god. A brand new small planet fragment appeared, no wonder so many major events have happened in the past few days, the benefits are blinding. He knows very well what a brand new, uncultivated small planet fragment represents. It represents a huge spiritual stone vein, a high reserve of rare metals and countless natural treasures, all of which are ownerless. Anyone, any force, as long as they can go up to reclaim the land, all the things they get are their own. It was normal that he didn't know about this before. Once this information was spread, the pioneers and practitioners of the entire lonely city would rush into the small planet fragment like crazy, and there might even be people from outside cities coming to share a piece of the pie. Is that so? Yejing suddenly realized, no wonder your Changtian group can cooperate with Tianhuo City. Each has its own needs and gains. The two forces, one took the lonely city, and the other took the brand new small planet fragment. They had not yet obtained it, but they had already distributed it. Who told you that we are from the Changtian group? The principal suddenly said, when did I say that we are from the Changtian group? No. Yejing asked back, he recalled in his mind, wait. It seems that there really is no. Since he was brought to this room last time and was forced to ask the permission password of the sky curtain, he has always believed that they are from the Changtian group, but what? The principal and the others didn't say it themselves. Yejing was instantly covered in cold sweat, with a shocked expression, you are not from the Changtian group? Isn't it the Changtian group that cooperates with Tianhuo City? Chaos. It's all messed up. Yejing's brain was confused, and he couldn't figure out what was what. That's right, it's Tianhuo City that cooperated with Changtian Group. The principal nodded, but that's not us. We have always been under the command of the city lord, but we are undercover in Changtian Group. It is our mission to rebel against Changtian Group and promote cooperation with Tianhuo City. Yejing felt like a fool. He guessed for a long time, but he guessed everything wrong. Others played it many times higher than he thought. They played this infernal affairs. But, if that's the case, Yejing frowned, no. Since it was you who prompted Changtian Group to cooperate with Tianhuo City, why didn't Nangxing die? Isn't he one of yours? If Nangxing doesn't die, how can Changtian Group believe us? The principal said indifferently, and his words were without any emotional fluctuations, as if the one who died was not a super strong man in the realm of destiny, but an ordinary person. This is the power of political conspiracy, right? Yejing glanced around. No one was in the underground palace realm, even the top principal was only in the 9th level of the transformation realm. But it was this group of people who killed a strong man in the destiny realm alive. This made him a little scared and felt sad for Nangxing's death. Nangxing, who was only in his 40s and had a brighter future, died in the battle between Changtian group and the city lord. Didn't the city lord know about this plan? Impossible. Such an important plan, the city lord could not be unaware of it, but he did not stop it, just to drag the hostile force Changtian group into crimes against humanity and directly gave up Nangxing. Even, this plan may have been set by the city lord himself. Is this still a world where strength is respected? The city lord remained silent, and a few small figures hiding in the shadows killed Nangxing, who could confront the second commander of Tianhuo City head-on. Too scary. Yejing lowered his head and remained silent for a long time, then raised his head and asked, when the fire demon attacked the lonely city at night a few days ago, the sky curtain was opened by the city lord, right? The principal nodded, yes, if no one died, how can it be real? No one died. Yejing felt so tired, and the fatigue came from his heart and spread all over his body. Is this a few people? This is a living life. He didn't understand how people in high positions in this world understand the word people. Then why do you still need me? If you want to frame Changtian Group, you only need to get the permission password of the sky curtain from the city lord, Yejing asked softly. His voice was very light, but in this quiet room, it was heard clearly. Real, these 2 words? Is that enough? Is that enough? The principal's tone was a little stiff, and his face showed an impatient expression. In order to make everything seem more natural, the city lord did not tell them the permission password of the sky curtain at all. Otherwise, he would spend so much money with Yejing here. However, even the best patience will be worn away. Yejing nodded, enough, really enough. He looked around, looking at the people in the circle, his dark and deep eyes showed indifference. Then, he slowly stood up and gently moved the chair away. From the bracelet, he took out a black pistol, a Modog pistol loaded with 5th level spiritual strength bullets, and pointed it at the principal and everyone. What do you mean? The principal's face instantly darkened, his eyes flashed with strong murderous intent, and the temperature in the entire room dropped as the principal changed, making it extremely cold. Although the principal's face was gloomy, he did not panic. He could feel that this pistol was not enough to threaten him or others. The other men in black robes also lost their original calmness and stood up one after another. The spiritual pressure that filled the entire room followed their actions and pressed down on Yejing, so much that he couldn't breathe. Do you want to resist us with just a broken pistol? The man in black robes sitting next to him sneered. He just wanted to move his body and subdue Yejing, but in the next second, he didn't dare to move. Not only him, but also the other men in black robes present, as well as the principal, suddenly changed their expressions, and their bodies froze in place, daring not to move. I saw Yejing taking out the energy core from the storage bracelet, holding the energy core in his left hand and the pistol in his right hand. He pointed the muzzle of the pistol at the energy core, gently opened the bumper of the pistol, and looked at everyone with a calm face. Then what? What else do you want to say? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 57. It turns out you were the one who dismantled my training machine. The principal gritted his teeth and said that the training machine placed in the school was his personal asset and was private property. After hearing that the training machine had been dismantled into pieces and stolen in the past 2 days, he even wanted to kill him while sleeping. That person. Before, he thought it was the absconding teacher who dismantled his training machine. Who would have thought that it was the little guy in front of him? He had to admit that he underestimated Yejing. Someone who could point a gun at the energy core with a calm face was a ruthless person. Yejing looked at the angry principal and was very calm. He nodded, "Yes, it's me. What's wrong? Is there any problem?" In the past, Yejing was always being pushed away by the principal, but now, it's the other way around. No one will ignore the energy core in Yejing's hand. Once something explodes, everyone present will die. The principal is also a person who has experienced strong winds and waves. After the initial panic, he quickly calmed down and said in a deep voice, "If we break the energy core, we will certainly die, but you will not be spared. We will die together." Yejing sneered, "Now that we've reached this point, are we still saying this is useful?" The pistol he was holding was pressed tightly against the surface of the energy core, and his nerves were tense. He looked around very vigilantly, not daring to slack off. The energy core in his hand is his only magic weapon to escape. A few drops of cold sweat appeared between the principal's brows. He swallowed his dry saliva and continued, "It's impossible. I don't believe you will choose to die together. You only intend to threaten, not use, right? If there is, you can make any demands now." He still doesn't believe that Yejing dares to shoot the energy core, 99% of the time. But even if there is a 1% probability, he doesn't dare to let him gamble, because if he loses the bet, he will die. He believed that his life was very precious, hundreds of times more precious than Yejing's. He was ready to listen to Yejing's request. No matter what the request was, he would immediately agree and get himself out of danger first, and the rest would be discussed later. He thought so, but Yejing didn't. "I can personally send you out of the lonely city, give you a large amount of money, and even send you directly to any college outside the 5 colleges. If you want to join King Li's force, I will also recommend it to you. Of course, with your cruelty, you will definitely join King Li's force." The principal kept talking, his eyes fixed on Yejing's face, and continued to seduce. As long as Yejing showed any sign of loosening, he would be able to defeat Yejing with his language skills. Just when the principal wanted to say something more, Yejing suddenly spoke. Yejing said coldly, "Do you know what the villain died of?" "What?" The principal was slightly startled, not understanding what Yejing said. He suddenly had a bad feeling, and his expression changed instantly. "Wait. We can talk." Before the principal could finish speaking, Yejing interrupted. "Hey, it seems you don't know." Yejing sighed and said with a disappointed expression. Then, under everyone's horrified gaze, he slightly bent his fingers and pulled the pistol. When everyone in the room was staring at Yejing intently, the moment Yejing moved his fingers, they knew what was going to happen. In the blink of an eye, everyone's expressions changed dramatically, and their eyes were full of panic. They all jumped up and fled in all directions. Their bodies crashed directly through the wall of the room. They didn't care about the pain after hitting the wall, they just wanted to have 2 more legs. Like this you can run faster. But can you run? Obviously, impossible. Yejing clicked his fingers slightly, and the aura bullet pierced the barrel of the gun and hit the surface of the energy core. Instantly, a crack appeared on the crimson surface of the energy core, and then spread to the entire surface, cracking open. The crimson light shines brightly in this dim room, and violent thunder-like energy bursts out from the energy core in an instant, spreading to the surroundings with lightning speed, covering the entire area. Near the violent energy core, all the spiritual energy danced, sweeping around like a tidal wave. The huge crimson light pillar formed by the explosion of the energy core covered 100 meters in radius in one breath, reaching from the ground to the sky. The crimson beam of light shot straight into the sky like a railgun, scattering the dark clouds in the sky and exposing the starry sky that night. Boom! The deafening explosion resounded through the dark night, resounding throughout half of the isolated city, and a vibration as if the sky was falling and the earth was falling spread out from this small room. The whole city was shocked. World nuclear peace. It was Yejing who detonated the energy core, so he was the first to bear the brunt. When the energy core exploded, a huge energy filled with despair instantly enveloped him. The energy impacted on his body, as if it was going to shatter and tear his whole body. The pain was excruciating. Suffering fatal damage will trigger the war of sorrow effect. You will be immune to this damage, and your strength will be increased by 100%, your destructive power will be increased by 100%, your speed will be increased by 100%, and you will receive a 30% blood-sucking effect when attacking, which lasts for 1 minute. Just when Yejing thought he was about to disappear into ashes, this piece of information appeared in his mind, making his heart suddenly relax. Can't die. This was Yejing's only thought at the time. Then nothing happened. The energy generated by the explosion of the energy core directly overturned Yejing, and his thin body seemed very fragile in the face of such a huge energy. As the raging energy gradually subsided, Yejing's body spun in the air for an unknown number of times, and then fell heavily to the ground, entering a short coma. The energy generated by the explosion of the energy core raged for a full minute before gradually subsiding. When the flying sand and rocks were scattered, this area had become a ruin. Cough cough. After an unknown amount of time, a rapid cough came from under the gravel and rubble. After the sound, a dirty hand stretched out from the ruins. After struggling, Yejing crawled out from underground. His mind was buzzing now, a mess, very chaotic, as if all his memories were blown to pieces, blank, and he couldn't remember anything. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Yejing was in a trance, his eyes were full of confusion. When his mind calmed down, he looked around, his mouth opened wide, and he was shocked by the tragic scene in front of him. Why are you still standing there? Run. Turn around and run. Asking for recommendation votes in the middle of the night? Thanks to Tianchuo Elevator Xiao Cheng for the 500 coin reward, and thanks to Visible Invisible Eye for the 100 coin reward. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 58. With Yejing as the origin, there was no intact thing in 100 meters radius. There were debris everywhere. The people led by the principal were gone. They disappeared without a trace. Perhaps they had been blown into the original form of life, or perhaps their bodies were buried under the ruins. Yejing had only heard that the energy core was very powerful and the explosion destroyed everything, but he didn't expect it to be so powerful. Fortunately, this place was very remote and there was no one else except them. Otherwise, Yejing would have to mourn in silence. Yejing didn't have time to check if anyone survived. He also believed that no one could escape from such a strong explosion. Such a strong explosion in the city must have attracted the attention of many people. Now who knows how many people are rushing here. Yejing didn't even shake off the dust on his body. He ran in the direction of his home. If he didn't run now, when would he run? Just when Yejing left for less than a minute, a dark shadow split out from the cracks between the rubble in the ruins that were originally silent and soundless. The erratic and somewhat distorted shadow gradually formed a human shape. Anzi emerged from the cracks of the rubble. His face was pale and bloodless, and his spiritual energy was very weak. It was obvious that he had suffered serious internal injuries. When the energy core exploded, Anza's sixth sense as a killer for many years gave him a warning. He was cautious and went directly into the shadows. Even so, he was severely impacted by the energy, and his bones seemed to be falling apart. Anza was covered in dust and had lost his cold look. He looked at the ruins around him with a silly face and muttered something. Who will give me my reward? Anza was hired by the principal. The reward was delivered after the mission. However, now all the payers were dead. Who should he ask for it? Did he work for nothing? Anza's chest rose and fell slightly. He was about to bend down to dig, but he heard footsteps coming from a distance. He had to give up reluctantly and escaped into the shadows to leave the scene quickly. Yejing, give me the money. Yejing left first, so he naturally didn't know that there were other people who survived at the scene. He walked quickly, taking advantage of the cover of the night, running around in the alleys, and soon he arrived home. The first thing he did when he got home was to take a shower. He was covered in dust, and half a pound of gravel could be poured out of the pockets of his clothes. When he took a shower, he pinched his ears and even found a few small stones. If he hadn't kept his mouth tightly shut at the time, he might have had a few mouthfuls of sand in his mouth. After taking a shower, Yejing changed into a clean pajamas and collapsed on the sofa like a dead fish. At this time, his heart was beating very fast, excited and excited. It was really exciting. Yejing couldn't stop the excited smile on his face. Thinking back to the scene just now, he felt that he would never forget it for the rest of his life. It was so cool. He held a powerful bomb and blew up all the enemies. So this is how War of Sorrow is used. I understand. War's Sorrow is not a combat skill at all. What's the use of 100% strength enhancement, 100% destructive power enhancement, 100% speed enhancement, and 30% blood sucking? Tell me what's the use? It's useless. The only use is that it is immune to fatal damage. This is the second time he has triggered War's Sorrow. The first time was to resist the self-explosion of the 5 commanders of Tianhuo City, and the second time was his own self-explosion. It seems that the only place for War's Sorrow is to self-explode. Yejing felt that he had opened the door to a new world. He planned to find a time to put some powerful explosives or bombs in his storage bracelet. They didn't need to be too expensive, but they just needed to be strong in destructive power. Once he encountered an invincible enemy, he would ignite himself with a bomb in his hand and let himself fly away to die with the enemy. Perfect. When Yejing woke up from his fantasy, it was almost dawn. As his excitement faded, he was replaced by a strong sense of fatigue. He returned to the room and slowly closed his eyes. Young people's sleep time must be controlled between 3 a.m. and noon, otherwise it will be bad for the body. Yejing slept until dawn, and it was obvious that he had no intention of getting up. He lay on the bed with an empty mind, very confused. Those enemies were his goals in the past few days, and he blew them all to death. What should I do next? Go out shopping? Impossible, I can't go shopping in this life. Practice. No motivation. Distressed. Yejing didn't know what to do next. Just when he was doing nothing and just wanted to activate the sage state, his mobile phone suddenly rang. It was a super cute reminder sound, and it was added to special attention. He only added the old professor to special attention, also to prevent him from missing any important notifications. Yejing opened the super queue, and it was the class group that vibrated. The old professor was talking in the group. He hurriedly opened the group chat, and many people in it had already started to swipe the screen. Zhengnan, after many days, I miss you so much. Wang Hao, oh, we are about to graduate. We will never meet the old professor again in this life. What follows is the desperate life of the juniors. I mourn for them, snickering. Old professor, sneer, don't forget, we haven't graduated yet. Wang Hao, Grandpa, I was wrong. Perhaps because the old professor tagged everyone, many students in the group popped up and talked about their experiences in the past few days. Some people have gone out to play World of Warcraft, some are still traveling, and some have stayed in internet cafes for several days. There are more or less things that cannot be experienced in school, which is very rich. Yejing was silent when he saw these chat records. Haha, with your rich experience, can you be as rich as me? Labor and management have been on the verge of death so many times. Wrong. Labor and capital are wandering crazily on the edge of death. He just smiled and said nothing. When most of the students in the group appeared, the old professor spoke. Old professor, stop, now there is an important announcement that I want to explain in detail. Everyone will come to school at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. No lateness is allowed. Old professor, to give you a rough idea, the unified examination in our isolated city will start early. Students who are preparing to compete for reference places in colleges and universities should complete the reference requirements as soon as possible. Student A, what? Start early? Isn't there still more than a month? Student B, it's over, I haven't prepared anything yet, why did I start early? Old professor, the specific situation will be announced tomorrow. Anyway, the matter is quite serious. Let's work hard. It's over. The old professor's behavior was astonishing. When the old professor went offline, the class group was wailing. They all had the same topic. Why did the exam start early? Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 59. The exam started early, leaving most students confused. They didn't know what was going on. The exam time was fixed every year, on November 15 according to the exam requirements, the time would not exceed 1 month. After the exam in the city, the students who passed the college quota would be reported to the college, and the college would issue the reference qualification to the students before the end of December. Then in early January of the second year, all the students who obtained the reference qualification rushed to the college to take the entrance exam. This process has been used in Gukhan for a long time, and it has always been synchronized with other cities. Unexpectedly, it was advanced for their class. Now it's only the beginning of October and the notice has been issued. It is estimated that the exam is advanced by at least 1 month. How much preparation time is lost? Other students don't know, but Yejing guessed it roughly. The reason for the early exam should be related to the small planetary fragments that appeared before, and even this exam should be connected to this small planetary fragment. They shouldn't let us go up to open up the wasteland, right? Yejing thought tremblingly in his heart, he felt vaguely that it was very likely to be the case. This is not what a student should do. If it was just to go to the small planet fragment to open up wasteland, Yejing said he could accept it, and maybe he could take the opportunity to make a fortune. But he had another guess deep in his heart. It would definitely not be that we were sent to that small planet fragment together with the fire demon. The city lord couldn't be so cruel. The next day, Yejing walked into the class. The class was very noisy, with all kinds of noises. The students were whispering to each other, discussing the early exam. The happy play during the holiday some time ago made them almost forget that they were students. Or a student who is about to take the unified examination. What should I do? I wanted to sprint before the exam and upgrade to level 7 or 8, but now it's too late. Level 7 or 8. Don't dream, you can't upgrade it in your lifetime. Where is Wang Hao? Where is the fake medicine seller? Hurry up, recommend a few potions that can increase my combat power, price is not a problem. Hulk potion, after taking it, you will turn into a green muscular man, instantly strengthening countless times and unable to change back. The price is 80,000, how about it? Excuse me. When Yejing sat down, he felt a gaze like a needle shooting at him. He looked sideways and saw Wang Hao looking at him with hatred. Yejing was surprised, why are you looking at me like that? Didn't I give you all the herbs? Wang Hao gritted his teeth and said, give them all to me? Why do I feel like there are still a lot missing? Where did the missing ones go? Did you eat them? No, Yejing shook his head, I made tea. He. A creepy smile came from Wang Hao's mouth, his heart was bleeding, Expensive herbs were actually used to make tea? Okay, okay. We will meet again in the mountains and rivers. Not long after Yejing entered the class, the old professor also came in. He was still the same, wearing a not-so-clean robe, a little messy hair, and holding a black and worn-out teaching stick in his hand. This look that no one wants is actually a master of the heavenly fate realm. As always, the old professor first smashed the podium with the teaching stick that scared the students. It must be said that in the whole class, the podium is the most resistant to being smashed. Almost every day, the old professor hits it a few times. There is nothing wrong with smashing the podium when you are in a good mood and smashing the students when you are in a bad mood. The old professor glanced at the students in the class and saw only 2 empty seats, one for Li Ke and the other for Anjing. He frowned slightly and said, "Li Ke and Anjing have asked for leave. They both know what is going on. Now it's time to inform you. The City Lord has issued the requirements and time for this year's Lonely City exam. The time is set on October 10th, which is 7 days later." The students in the class were stunned for a moment, and the next second, the whole class was in an uproar. What? 7 days later? How can it be so sudden? The college entrance examination has been advanced by more than a month. Who can bear this? Isn't our class going to be finished? There are not many people to begin with, and if you do this, the school will be ruined. Anjing. The old professor had no expression on his face, and smashed the teaching stick hard on the podium. The deafening sound effect directly drowned out the students' voices and suppressed them all. What's the point of you saying this? Those who don't want to take the exam, go out now, and they don't have to take the exam this time. The old professor has a bad temper and doesn't know how to talk properly. He just stretched out his finger and pointed outside the door, signaling those who don't want to take the exam to go out. The students were speechless and looked at each other for a few times. They dared to be angry but didn't dare to speak. They were just students and had no say. They had to do what the superiors said. Disagree? Sure, go out. The class was quiet for a few minutes. Seeing that no one moved, the old professor snorted coldly, and then turned on the projector behind him, on which appeared a notice issued by the city lord. Notice of the Lonely City Examination. Issuer, Li Hui. Time, October 10th. Examination location, Small Planet Fragments. Examination time, tentatively set for 1 month. Assembly location, Lonely City Airship Center. Examination content, go to a brand new small planet fragment for land reclamation, and the specific content will be announced on the day of the start. Note, all students must participate, no mistakes. Shock. Shock. Super shock. The students stared at the exam notice with a dull look on their faces, as if they had seen a ghost. They rubbed their eyes hard and looked up again. Oh my God. Small planet fragments. What is this? The whole class was shocked. Quick. Pinch me, let me see if I am dreaming. Small planet fragments. Reclamation. This is not a brand new piece of land fragment, right? When did Lonely City have a brand new piece of land fragment? The exam location was even put on it. Is the city lord so bold? Exams are coming. I have never left Lonely City in my life. This time, I will go to other lands to take a look. The class, which was originally a little depressed, suddenly burst into a rage. When the students recovered from the exam notice, they became excited instantly. Few of them had left Lonely City. Even those who had traveled to other cities outside Lonely City had only been to the cities on Blue Star and had never been to the land of other planets. This time, their exam was held on a small planet fragment, which made them very excited. Moreover, it was a brand new and undeveloped small planet fragment. Use one sentence to describe the students who are like a group of demons dancing wildly. Excited hearts and shaking hands. Thank you for the 3,000 coin reward from Buli Buki Yolong. 100 coin reward from Lulika. Book friend 2019061521145232 100 coin reward. Thank you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Buletin G. Bayet. Chapter 60. Unlike other students, Yejing was heartbroken when he saw this announcement. He seemed to have guessed it right. There is another sentence at the bottom of the exam announcement. All students must attend without mistake. Look at this sentence. Is this what should appear on the exam notice? Yejing looked at the other students as if they were looking at fools. Excited. Happy. When you get there, you won't think so. By the time you get there, it may be too late to withdraw from the exam. Yejing knew very well that the city wanted to use the sacrifices of their students to increase the number of people. Gukhan just had a fight with Tianhuo City some time ago, and the number of practitioners was greatly reduced. With fewer people, there was less cannon fodder. So where can we find cannon fodder when we open up Wasteland? There is a class of students here who are just right, please send them over. Is it important to open up Wasteland between a new generation of students and a brand new small planet fragment? It goes without saying. Moreover, what worries Yejing the most may come true. The city lord obviously wants to forcibly reclaim the small planet fragment. Can Skyfire City allow it? Impossible. I heard that this small planet fragment was floating between Gukhan and Tianhuo City. If Gukhan took action, that day Huachan would definitely do the same. At that time, a war will begin on the planet fragments. And this group of students is probably used to deal with those low-level fire demons. There are hundreds of people, and you can kill a lot if you make do with it. Bang. 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 At this time, the sound of the old professor's iron rod hitting the podium sounded again, diverting everyone's attention. The old professor glanced at the students of this class, with a hint of pain in his eyes. He was also an insider of such a major matter, but could he tell it? No, he couldn't say anything, he could only remain silent. So what if he said it? Can the city lord let this group of students go? Wishful thinking. He has sent students for more than 10 years to the examination room, but this time, he is sending his students to the battlefield. The old professor closed his eyes slightly, with a look of struggle on his face, as if he was making a decision but was undecided. After a long silence, the students looked at the old professor in confusion and did not dare to speak. Gradually, the classroom became quiet. Call. A few minutes later, the old professor took a deep breath, as if this breath had let out all the depression in his heart. He looked at the class of students in front of him and thought that this might be the last class I will teach. The old professor's face straightened and his expression became serious, with a trace of determination in his eyes. He decided to tell the facts about this exam. Not to make students run away, but to prepare them. The old professor said, when you see this notice, you will probably know that, yes, a brand new small planet fragment has appeared near Gukhan. For this small planetary fragment, there have been many battles between Gukhan and Tianhuo City. For example, the Fire Demon's night attack on Gukhan 2 days ago was also one of several battles. During the battle, both Gukhan and Skyfire City suffered losses in their high-end combat capabilities. After negotiations with the upper levels, Gukhan and Skyfire City have reached an agreement and decided to temporarily withdraw their high-end combat capabilities to avoid casualties. But we can't give up the small planet fragments, so what should we do next? After the old professor finished speaking this long paragraph in a heavy tone, he closed his mouth and looked at the students. The students looked confused. They didn't quite understand what the old professor was talking about, and they didn't know what the old professor wanted to express. Only a few students with quick thinking reacted, their faces instantly turned pale, and their eyes became frightened. Just when the students in the class were in a state of confusion, an unexpected person suddenly spoke. Wang Hao said with a bitter look on his face, "In order to avoid the casualties of high-end combat forces and to compete for resources, there is only one way, and that is to send down low-end combat forces to fight for it." This is the most common and normal way to compete for resources that he used when playing Star Warframe. In order to prevent the expensive armor group from being damaged, 2 or more parties will negotiate together and send out a group of equally powerful but cheap hot chicken armor groups to fight. In the end, which force's armor group survives to the end on the battlefield, and the resources whoever it belongs to. Warframe is so fun. Only those who survive are eligible to receive resources. But he never thought that this would happen in reality. Hearing what Wang Hao said, all the students were confused. After staying for a few seconds, they all looked at the old professor, wanting to get the answer from him. The old professor nodded gloomily. Wang Hao is right. It's a simple fact. If you don't let people with high-end combat power fight, you will have to let people with low-end combat power fight. Boom. The students' brains seemed to have been struck by lightning, and they went blank. Low-end combat power? Couldn't you be talking about us? It seems like it's us we're talking about. Swish, swish, swish. Several boys stood up immediately and walked towards the door in unison. Old professor, you just said that if people who don't want to take the exam leave, they will abandon the exam, right? We gave up the exam. What a joke. I understand that this makes us die. What is low-end combat power? The first level of the mortal realm is a low-end combat power, and the 9th level of the mortal realm is also a low-end combat power. Then, how do we fight when the first level and 9th level fighters, who both belong to the low-end combat power, meet? Fight? Can't we just not take the exam? I'd rather go home and sell sweet potatoes than die young. Before the boys walked out of the class, the old professor said, "Do you think it's possible? It's not up to you to decide whether to take the exam or not, but up to the city lord. If we don't go, the city lord can still force us to go." A boy said angrily. The old professor said faintly, "Why not? Can you resist? What qualifications do you have to resist?" Then the boys sat back in their seats in disgrace. At this time, the class was dead silent, and there was no excitement just now. It's the same as going to small planetary fragments, but exams and battles are different. One is for the future, and the other is without a future. Looking at the dead class, the old professor frowned, and his eyes showed disappointment without concealing it. The purpose of what he said was not to let the students scan their fighting spirit, but to let them prepare more. This is different from what he thought. Look at you now. The old professor shouted angrily, "There will definitely be danger to your life, but this is only your first trial as a practitioner. There will be a second, third, and countless times in the future. If you give up even the first time, what's the point of practicing? Just go home. If you still look like this, then I can say without hesitation that your path to practice has been cut off." Seeking late-night recommendation votes. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 61. The old professor scolded the students, and he was always merciless. He said one thing and another, and he got angry when he saw the students who were shrinking and afraid of fighting. "I am the best among all the teachers. Why teach such a group of cowards?" The old professor cursed wildly and glanced coldly at the students who were lowering their heads. A biting cold air spread all over his body. Cultivation is no joke. You have to fight against people, against heaven, against alien races, and against all living creatures. If you don't even have this awareness, go home and sell medicine as soon as possible. In the depressing class, the students were so frightened by the old professor that they trembled and did not dare to say a word. Most of the students had a look of shame on their faces and a faint realization in their hearts. If you don't agree, you'll be given chicken soup. Yejing couldn't help but give the old professor a thumbs up. He didn't want any of his classmates to give up halfway and quit. In that case, once they landed on the planet fragments, there wouldn't even be anyone of the same kind, so what's the point of fighting? He himself has already decided that he will definitely go to small planet fragment, not only for the exam, but also to enrich his pocket. The small planet fragments created for land reclamation are a golden desert, covered with golden sand. Whoever picks it up belongs to whom? How can such a good thing be missed? Don't talk about danger. There is no risk in doing anything. As long as the risk is proportional to the reward, everything is easy to say. As for the issue of college quotas, Yejing feels that it shouldn't be a big problem. The Magic City College he is going to has given 3 quotas, and there are only a few students in the entire Gukhan, and there are only a few hundred people in 4 classes. There are only a few names among them. Huayu and Li Ke from their class are 2, so they still have a chance to fight. He doesn't think that he will lose to others now. If that doesn't work, aren't there 4 other universities? Choose, choose. The old professor then poured some chicken soup into the students, and then gave a few instructions, asking them to make more preparations in the last 7 days, buy whatever they can, and don't be stingy with spiritual stones. He also specially asked them to eat more good food these days and be filial to their parents. This is the rhythm when they are gone and never come back. After the old professor left, all the classmates gathered around Yejing with a whoosh. Of course, it was not him who was looking for him, but his desk mate Wang Hao. Those who sell fake medicines, take out all the good stuff you have. I want to order medicine. One that can heal injuries, restore aura, enhance strength, speed up escape, explode instantly, destroy enemies with one move, and the kind that can step through the void after drinking it. Take your time. Take your time. Everyone has a share. A time-honored brand with integrity. Pay the money first and then get the medicine. Yejing felt uncomfortable being pushed around, and hurriedly squeezed out of the crowd. He was very speechless. What you want is true. Kill monsters, kill enemies, and escape without missing anything. After leaving school, Yejing felt that there was nothing he needed anymore. Even if he wanted something, he had no money to buy it. He wanted to buy a few explosive bags, but he had no money. I can only lament that when the money is used, I will regret it. It would be great if I could get a skill with self-destruction. Yejing thought to himself that he still had more than 1,000 energy left. How about draining it now? Passive skills may not have much effect individually, but in large numbers, they are really awesome. On the way back, Yejing had already put his consciousness into the furnace. On the surface of the furnace were engraved the void-like creatures and the universe. The image of the body is mixed with scars caused by an unknown number of weapons. The marks are deep and shallow, as if each scar is from countless years. Yejing didn't know if it was an illusion. Every time he injected energy into the furnace to increase the level, in addition to the new functions, the markings on the furnace would become clearer. The energy bar at the bottom of the furnace is still more than half full. Yejing estimated that it would take more than 10,000 spiritual stones. Yejing turned on the extraction function, and there was only 1,003 energy left in it. This time he did not choose 10 consecutive draws, but chose a single draw. Use your strength to create miracles, and draw out magical skills alone. Let the golden glitter explode. Extracting skills, blank. Extracting skills, blank. Extracting skills, blank. After 10 times, the golden flash did not appear, but white light flashed 10 times in a row. Yejing smiled, and he carefully looked at the probability introduction on draw. White, blank, 70%. Green, primary passive, 30%. Blue, intermediate passive, 10%. Red, advanced passive, 5%. Gold, extraordinary passive, 1%. Rubbing his eyes, Yejing smiled and felt heartbroken. He didn't know what to say. It was this extraction that made him uncomfortable every time, and it was this extraction that made him happy every time. Look at this probability. Let's not talk about golden flash, that is all delusion, but why can't you even draw the primary passive? There's a 30% chance that you won't win even 1 out of 10 times. You're making a fool of us right here. He didn't want to complain anymore. The lottery probability of the entire carousel was 70 add 30 add 10 add 5 add 1 equal 116%. The total probability is 116%. Come on, tell me, how does a circular turntable appear with a probability of more than 100%? He didn't want to complain anymore. His heart was bleeding when he looked at the only 300 energy left. This is all the energy that I spent my life fighting for. The furnace seemed to sense the cry in Yejing's heart, and emitted a faint light, as if to taunt. Draw, what else can I do? Anyway, I haven't reached home yet, so I can have some fun. Draw. What makes Yejing satisfied is that each draw only requires 100 energy. 100 energy can't buy you any loss or be fooled. You don't feel bad when you draw, and you smile when you win. Drawing skill, blank. Drawing skill, blue. Obtaining skill, strong man locks man. Drawing skill, blank. Blue. Intermediate passive. Yejing's originally wilted face suddenly shook, and then glowed again, and he hurriedly checked the new passive. Strong man locks man. When facing a male enemy, there is a 10% chance of making the enemy enter a restrained state when attacking, unable to move, and the duration is 3 seconds. The duration is affected by the strength of both sides. Man among men said, 1/5. His. Yejing took a breath after reading the introduction. This skill is a bit overbearing. Especially the name. The limitation of the passive skill strong man locking man is not big. It will only be triggered when facing a male enemy. In contrast, it will not be triggered when facing a female enemy. Although it is a bit limited, the effect is not bad, and it lives up to the title of intermediate passive. There is a 10% chance of triggering when attacking, which can make the enemy unable to move for 3 seconds. 3 seconds, you can do a lot of things. Of course, there is also the last sentence. The control time is determined by the strength of both parties. Yejing would not think that he can bind a destiny realm for 3 seconds. This is not realistic at all. However, he still has a doubt in his heart at this moment. Those low-level fire demons that are only energy bodies, are they male? Or female? This is a very serious question. What is this man among men said? I have never seen it before. With doubts in his heart, Yejing clicked on the man among men set. Then he panicked. Set, man among men. Set skills, strong man locks up the man resolve the man man on man surround the man overturn the man. Combination skills, know the man and go up welcome the man and solve. Know the man and go up, advanced, when facing a male enemy that is one major realm higher than the host, all attributes are increased by 30%, damage received is reduced by 30%, and enter the intermediate passive heart-like still water state, ignoring all mental attacks. Man among men set 3/5 activated. Welcome the man and solve, extraordinary, when facing a male enemy that is one major realm higher than the host, all attributes are increased by 50%, damage received is reduced by 50%, and enter the advanced passive ice heart state, immune to all mental attacks. Man among men set 5/5 activated. Note, Every time you obtain one of the skills of the Man Among Men set, the chance of extracting the Man Among Men set is increased by 10%. After reading the entire set, Yejing had only one thought in his mind. Strong. Really strong. Very strong. He didn't know there was a skill set before. No, although he felt that the furnace was cheating money in various ways, he had to say that the combination skills were really strong. In the Man Among Men set, after obtaining 3 skills, you can awaken the advanced passive Knowing Men and Going Up. Isn't this free? And in the state of Knowing Men and Going Up, there is also an intermediate passive Heart like Still Water. Oh my god. Buy one get one free. That's not all. When all 5 skills of the Man Among Men set are collected, the second combination skill will be awakened, and it is a Golden Extraordinary skill. The Golden Extraordinary Welcome Men and Go Up is also buy one get one free. In his state, there is even an advanced passive Ice Heart that is immune to mental attacks. When did the furnace become so generous? Isn't it a big loss to give away set skills like this? Yejing was ecstatic. He counted the passive skills in the Man Among Men set. After all of them were gathered, there were actually 9 of them. 5 set skills, 2 combination skills, and 2 skills in the state. I'm going to spend a lot of money. Yejing's eyes turned red when he looked at this set. He couldn't calm down for a long time. He licked his lips, and his eyes showed a bloody greed. He didn't say anything. He would work hard to make money. He had to spend money to get the Man Among Men set. Yejing focused all his attention on the furnace, and didn't notice that his body had subconsciously walked into the alleyway to go home. This was one of the shortcuts for him to go home from school. It was remote and quiet. Just when Yejing's consciousness was still in the furnace space, behind him, a shadow quietly stuck to the wall from an unknown place, gently approached Yejing, and attacked from behind him. Instant. Yejing suddenly felt the hair on his body stand up, and a strong sense of crisis arose spontaneously. A breath that made his whole body creepy suddenly appeared behind him. In a flash, Yejing hurriedly exited the furnace space and turned his head subconsciously. Before he could react, a cold pistol was pointed at his forehead. Damn! He was attacked. Yejing had never thought that someone would attack him in broad daylight. This was not even carelessness. Who would have thought that he would be pointed at his forehead while walking on the road? Yejing looked around and saw a familiar figure appeared in front of him, with undisguised murderous aura, a black robe as black as ink, and a person without a shadow. This is the killer, the hidden man. Yejing was horrified, and blurted out, "Why aren't you dead?" As soon as he finished speaking, Yejing knew he had said the wrong thing. The person appeared in front of him intact, of course he was not dead. He was extremely shocked. What kind of monster is this? He was not killed in such a powerful explosion? Could it be that he also has a body protection skill like me? The black robe covered the face of the dark man, revealing only a pair of eyes that made Yejing feel cold all over. He suppressed the panic in his heart and asked, "What do you want to do?" "I am the fish on the chopping board, and now the gun is against my head, and war of sorrow has not cooled down yet." He dare not anger the murderer in front of him. "Yejing, give me money." Nzi's hoarse voice came out from under the black robe, which made Yejing slightly stunned. "What?" Nzi pushed Yejing's forehead with the gun in his hand and repeated, "Give me money." Yejing was confused. "Give me money? I don't owe you money. You killed all my employers, they can't pay me, you are still alive, so you give me money." Yejing, Who taught you this theory? At the same time, Yejing was relieved. It's easy to talk if he is not here for revenge. He decided to save his life first. Yejing asked carefully, "How much is it in total?" "As long as you don't kill me, we can talk." Nzi then revealed a number, which made Yejing give up resistance directly. 500,000 spirit stones. Then you should kill me. Yejing rolled his eyes, spread his hands, and did not resist at all. Yejing was going to borrow 1 or 2,000 yuan to get rid of Anzi first, despite his heartache. He didn't want to be remembered by a shadow killer all day long. But 500,000 spirit stones. Hee, you'd better kill me. Anzi. He seemed to have never encountered such a situation before. He had always accepted tasks, completed tasks, and then got paid. No one would not pay him, and no one dared to, so he knew nothing about collecting debts. Anzi held the pistol tightly in his hand, against Yejing's forehead, and then he was silent, neither speaking nor moving, just staring blankly, as if thinking. I won't divide the chapters today. Thanks to the book friend 201906191712508336 for the 100 coin reward. Thank you all for your support. It seems that the recommendation has been passed again.